Hello to all my dear followers and be welcome to the channel, be welcome to the 10th season of What If Naruto Was Trained by Kurama Since Childhood and Mastered the MINATO'S Jutsus? So guys, like always, if you want more seasons of this fanfic, you only need to give your like, give your comment and subscribe for more. Also, you can give me in the comments whatever type of fanfic you want in the channel. So, we gonna start.
Naruto was within 5 meters from Gaara's now exposed stomach when his danger sense rang haywire. He instinctively flashed to the farthest kunai, which surprisingly turned out to be Temari. Temari jumped when Naruto suddenly appeared beside her. She put a hand on her chest, heart pumping wildly. "You really shouldn't startle people like that," Naruto shot back. "That's the only purpose I do it. What are you doing here anyways? I thought you were injured." His gaze turned quizzical. Temari folded her arms. "I was able to heal myself with the medical supplies I had and what little I knew of medical jutsu." Truthfully speaking, she was downright impressed with the way Naruto had handled Gaara. Not many knew of the weak spot Naruto had chosen to exploit. Most of the times, they were busy escaping Gaara's attempts to kill them. Naruto had not only bested Gaara's attacks, but had managed to corner him twice. Naruto nodded and turned back where Gaara was. It seemed he had flashed for good reason, for Gaara was no longer there. In his place, a huge raccoon made of sand stood, towering clear above the forest. They seemed like ants in its comparison. A huge amount of chakra had been molded, right before Naruto had flashed away. Naruto stared at the one-tailed tanuki with unusually grave eyes. "This is quite bad," he muttered. Temari gave him a look like he had lost his mind. "Quite. This is very, very bad. You can't stop him when he goes into this form." Suddenly, Naruto turned around and blocked a shuriken that was meant for Temari. Sasuke appeared one branch away, clearly angry. "What are you doing, Naruto?" "She is the enemy." Naruto held a hand to calm the Avenger down. "She isn't our enemy anymore, Sasuke. Don't attack her." Sasuke's expression turned confused. "What do you mean?" Naruto then tilted his head towards the giant tanuki. "We have bigger problems to deal with, that's why." Sasuke grit his teeth and angrily gestured to the tanuki. "How the hell are you going to stop that?" Naruto then turned away and looked up, all three of them tensing when he saw its head turning to face them. He quickly said, "Both of you, get away from here as far and as fast as you can." Temari spoke the question before Sasuke did. "What about you?" Naruto gave her a discreet wink, whispering, "Trust me." Out loud he spoke, "I have a plan. Now go." Sasuke looked reluctant to leave Naruto behind. So did Temari. But they still followed his command. Sasuke turned around and tree-hopped away, Sakura safe in his arms. Temari was about to go as well when Naruto whispered to her, "Keep a safe distance from Sasuke. Even though I told him not to attack you, he still might do it." Temari nodded and was about to jump when she noticed she couldn't move. Naruto and her both looked down in horror to see both of their feet stuck in sand, with the sand crawling up their bodies. Naruto acted on instinct. He quickly put a hand on Temari's back and sent her to the farthest point he could, which he sensed was moving away. He had no time to ponder on that because he was completely covered by sand. Gaara watched in his bijou form from above as he finally had Uzumaki Naruto in his grasp, and this time, there was no escape. He clutched his claw into a fist. Sabaku Q. Sand coffin. Usually when he used the desert coffin, blood would explode outwards, along with the muscles and organs. It always gave Gaara great pleasure to use it. But this time, instead of blood, only smoke seemed to come out. Gaara was confused. Why did smoke come out? Temari had been utterly surprised when one moment, she was standing beside Naruto, her feet stuck in sand. The next moment, she had suddenly appeared mid-air beside Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke was equally surprised and nearly lost his footing on the next branch. Temari was barely able to land on her legs, let alone make a graceful landing. Temari was not so surprised, since she had witnessed Naruto send Shikamaru down for their fight the same way, using Hiraishin. Sasuke, on the other hand, was stunned on a much higher level. He can even send people through that jutsu? If he sent her here, Does he know that I have one of his kunai? Did Naruto send you? Temari looked at Sasuke and scowled. For some reason, she hated that bastard. Yeah, he did. However, all her breath left her lungs when she heard the gravelly voice of Gaara, amplified in his bijou form. Sabaku Q. No, Temari thought with eyes full of terror as she turned back to the area of the fight. She almost expected Naruto to flash beside her, easily avoiding the one-hit kill. Seconds trickled by, and the blood fully drained from her face. Gaara had killed Naruto. Sasuke froze on the branch for a completely different reason. While he had undoubtedly displayed potent jealousy towards Naruto for having techniques far superior to his own, he still considered Naruto his comrade, and Naruto was the closest thing to a friend that Sasuke had. Back in the stadium, his thoughts had been clouded with hatred and jealousy. But while fighting Gaara, the cloud had somewhat shifted, and he had gained respect for the blonde to handle Gaara the way he did. Naruto may have been a genius, but that alone doesn't make you powerful. Sasuke trained his ass off daily to get stronger. For Naruto to be this strong, he must have worked way harder than him. Which meant only one thing: Sasuke would do anything he could to catch up to Naruto. Anything, but witnessing the death of that comrade made him reflect back to their bell test. Kakashi had told them that people who broke the rules are scum, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. He had abandoned Naruto to face his death, even if the blonde had told him to go himself. Itachi had abandoned the entire Leaf and by extension, his comrades. Sasuke had abandoned his comrade. Oh God. Did that mean they were the same? Before more horror could fill his being, a scream of horror from Temari snapped him out of his thoughts. Naruto! Temari wanted to deny all of it. She wanted to deny that Naruto had fallen prey to Gaara's sand. But the truth was right in front of her, as if mocking her for not being able to do anything. She had these strange feelings growing inside her ever since she started meeting Naruto in the week before the exams. Feelings that she couldn't make any sense out of. She didn't meet him just because she wanted to learn his secrets for her village. No, she genuinely enjoyed spending time with him. He had become a sort companion that she never wanted to let go of, but reality struck hard. Naruto! Suddenly, a huge amount of smoke appeared before them, causing both of them to gape. The amount of smoke released was large, easily large enough that it could cover the giant tanuki. Only it wasn't a tanuki that emerged from the smoke. Naruto barely been able to make a shadow clone in time. However, he did it so fast that he doubted someone could have seen him doing it, even if they were standing in front of him. He had created the shadow clone with specific orders in mind. As soon as the clone flickered into existence, it vanished from its spot near instantaneously, Flash stepping behind a tree. Then it substituted with the Prime, taking his place inside the coffin. It grinned when he thought what Gaara's reaction would be when he saw that Prime had managed to escape. It was its last thought before dispelling into smoke. Behind a tree, Naruto was preparing his next technique. It was the only one he could think of that could deal with Gaara's current form, and hopefully, it would be one of the last he would ever have to use against Gaara. Cutting his left thumb, he swiped it against his right palm. Boar dog bird monkey ram. Kuchios no jutsu. Before the exam, he had calculated that he required exactly a quarter of his reserves to summon Takashi. However, after Kurama had increased his reserves, the amount had dropped significantly. The quarter of his previous amount of reserves that he previously required had now become 2/3 of the same quarter, which meant an entire 1/6 of his reserves. Of course, Naruto had roughly estimated this with Kurama's help. In a huge blast of smoke, Naruto towered above the tree line, easily standing a head above the tanuki on top of Takashi's head. He had his arms crossed as he looked down on Shikaku's form. It gave him a sense of authority, of power. Takashi blinked as he appeared with his arms crossed. He quickly deduced that Naruto had summoned him. Ah! It seems you require my assistance, Naruto. Naruto lightly laughed on top of Takashi's head. Very acute observation, Takashi-san. Takashi chuckled at his summoner's cheek before turning a serious, yet still a bit amused eye forward. Ichibi no Shikaku. Huh? You sure do have an eye for strong opponents, Naruto. This might turn out to be a good fight after all. Takashi grinned. his sharp teeth menacingly coming into view as he grasped the katana strapped onto the left side of his waist in anticipation. Naruto nodded and explained his plan to the boss of the foxes. Right now, the Jinchuriki is in the final state of his transformation, but still in control. Our goal is to influence him enough that he would relish the control over to the tailed beast via falling asleep. Once Shikaka's consciousness is in control, I want you to hold him in one place while I wake up the host. Once Gaara is awake, I will slap a seal onto him that will cut him off from his tailed beast. Takashi listened carefully to Naruto's plan and nodded in agreement. He couldn't help but comment, however, fighting an opponent like Shikaku at their strongest? You really know how to bring excitement into a fight, Naruto. Takashi was clearly excited to fight. He did not wait for his opponent to make his move. Naruto was glad he had stuck to Takashi's head using his chakra. Otherwise, he would have fallen backwards on his butt. Just as Takashi came within striking distance, Gaara reacted. Shikaku's arm came forward to grab Takashi's throat, but he wasn't fast enough. Instead of dodging the arm, Takashi unsheathed his katana, and in one clean stroke, Gaara's entire right arm came straight off. Temari stared in amazement at what Naruto had managed to pull out of his sleeve this time. It was a humongous, dark blue fox in a white haori, with 7 tails swaying behind magnificently. And it was large enough to tower over the tanuki. What is that? She uttered in disbelief. Was it one of Naruto's summons? Sasuke was in a similar state. He was at a loss of words for this. Whatever Naruto had managed to pull off. But whatever it was superior to even the tanuki in size. It was clearly very strong. The 7 swaying tails had fully thrown him off. With the exchange of words that followed, Sasuke was able to deduce that this was a summon, which meant that Naruto was the holder of a summoning contract. He couldn't hear what Naruto said, but it was clearly a signal to start fighting. Both Sasuke and Temari then proceeded to watch, utterly dumbstruck and stupefied. The giant blue fox cleanly cut one of Gaara's arms. Takashi skidded away, destroying a group of trees in his wake and not even noticing. His eyes narrowed as he clutched his blade tightly. His body is denser than I had thought. I nearly lost the grip of my blade, he said as he put the katana back in its sheath. We'll have to be more careful now. This should be provocation enough for him to let Shikaku out. Get ready, Naruto. Yeah. Naruto nodded and braced himself. He carefully watched Gaara as he slowly reattached his arm. Once he had done so, he turned his head towards them. Interesting, he rumbled, causing both Takashi and Naruto to tense. How interesting, Uzumaki Naruto. They watched as Gaara came out of the giant tanuki's head in a ripple, his eyes completely white. Naruto supposed that was because his sight was in the tanuki's eyes. He was slumped, but slowly straightened up. Naruto was further on guard when he saw Gaara smiling a little. He knew what came next, but no matter how many times he saw Gaara smile, it was always unnerving. You are strong, Uzumaki, Gaara said, and Naruto could hear anticipation in his voice. You have matched my every attack with yours, and were able to overpower me if only for a little while. I haven't had this much fun in all my life. The last shout caused Naruto to feel a bit sad inside. He couldn't help but reflect that this was how he could have ended up. Gaara had been alienated most of his life. He could see that only Temari had attempted to make Gaara feel as close to family as possible, but he had ruthlessly pushed her away. They say that you can learn a lot about a person from fighting them, and it was true. Naruto had seen how Gaara fought. Gaara only fought for himself. He thought that he had no precious people of his own. Well, Naruto was about to give him a smackdown for free in addition to a reality check. Gaara formed the ram seal. As my gratitude towards you for keeping me entertained, I'll let you see the full power of the sand incarnation. Feigning sleep jutsu. For a moment, Gaara remained frozen in that pose, mad eyes glaring into Naruto's prepared ones. And then, he sagged, arms hanging limply as his head fell forward. Here we go, Takashi-san, Naruto whispered to the fox, who hummed low in agreement. Sasuke shivered with a little fear. This wasn't the first time he had watched his teammate take on a stronger opponent than any of them, while he just cowered in the background. Looking up at Gaara's form, he took back his words. Gaara had a lot more chakra than what he estimated. To have enough chakra to form a construct like that. He doubted even Naruto had that much chakra. Temari watched fearfully as Naruto tackled Gaara at his strongest. As confident as Naruto seemed, she doubted he could scrape victory when Gaara let Shikaku out to fight. But Naruto looked so sure of his victory, like he knew exactly what to do, that Temari simply had to trust he knew what he was doing. She couldn't bear to lose both Naruto and Gaara in the same day. Yahoo! Finally, I am out and free. The one-tailed monster opened its enormous jaw, and the high, crazy voice surprised Naruto a bit. He had been imagining a voice similar to Kurama's. Shikaku looked in front of him and cheered, coiling in preparation for an attack. Oh, a guy for me to kill already. And it looks like you're related to that asshole Kyuubi. I'll make mincemeat out of you. Naruto winced as Kurama roared in rage inside him. He really couldn't be sure if Shikaku was referring to him or Takashi. Probably Takashi. Because of his tails. Takashi gave a challenging grin full of teeth. Why don't you put those words to test? Let's see how far you can get. Shikaku slapped his large, bloated stomach. Futon, Rankuden, a bullet of air so compressed and pressurized came shooting towards Takashi, who surprised both Naruto and Shikaku when he deftly used one of his tails to smack away the air bullet at just the right angle. He just shifted its direction a bit, so instead of damaging the landscape, it went flying into the sky behind him. My turn, Takashi grinned before performing 3 hand seals, ending on Tiger. He took a deep breath. Katan, Goen no Jutsu. Fire style, great flame technique. An enormous vortex of rapidly expanding flames expelled from his mouth and rushed towards Shikaku. The heat from the flames was so hot that even Naruto, who was standing behind the wall of fire, felt it. The entire land of forest beneath the majestic flame was scorched to ashes. Naruto was willing to bet that the fire was hot enough to turn Shikaku's sand to glass. Shikaku, as soon as he saw the Herculean fire heading towards him, erected a huge wall of sand with his hand. He would have dodged it normally, but because of his huge bulk, he was slow to put himself to motion. It was better to have a hand turned to glass rather than any other part of his body. The flames hit the wall of sand, and for a full 5 seconds, Takashi kept pumping chakra into his fire, making it hotter in each second. When he finally released the jutsu, both Naruto and Takashi grinned at the results. Temari gaped in speechlessness as the wall that Shikaku had erected with his hand had completely melted into hot, molten liquid. The amount of firepower that summon seemed to have was completely absurd and ridiculous. Sasuke was also dumbstruck at the new development. The heat from the summon's fire had been hot enough to be felt way over where they were standing. He had seen what had happened to the forest beneath it, and he almost felt bad for anything standing in front of it. Shikaku winced as he saw his entire hand was now molten sand, which was slowly melting from the solid shape that he had formed it into. However, before he could do anything about it, he heard another shout. Futon, Kamikaze, Wind Style, Divine Wind. A huge amount of wind was expelled from Takashi's mouth. It had no shape, it simply was wind blowing at great speeds. Since the sand construct was still melting, Shikaku didn't have enough time to detach himself from it. Takashi took full advantage of it and chose to cool down the molten sand, transforming it into glass. Shikaku looked at his hand in disbelief. His whole right arm that was still attached to his body had become solid glass. It was rather surreal to see. Takashi laughed. Make mincemeat out of me? Take a look at yourself first. And with speed that even Naruto did not expect from him, he shot forward in 3 quick strides. Naruto was stunned just how quickly Takashi was able to move. However, his next choice of attack almost had Naruto jumping in joy. Takashi had reared back his fist and punched right at the strange-shaped wall of glass. Shikaku had no choice but to block the punch with his now wall of glass, formerly wall of sand. If he could get rid of the glass, he could form a new hand then. Then he would kill this blasted fox. The glass shattered like, well, glass. It shattered into pieces. The part of the arm that had become glass was almost up to his shoulder. So almost the entire arm shattered under the tremendous force of Takashi's punch. Shikaku was now visibly panicking. He swung his good left arm, claws outstretched to swipe Takashi's head off, but Takashi was quick to counter. Takashi grabbed the left arm with his right, followed by grabbing the swinging tail that came from Shikaku's right. Takashi held them in a strong grip, not allowing Shikaku any chance to attack. Well, if you don't count the regenerating arm and the purple ball of no doubt, highly destructive chakra that was forming in front of Shikaku's mouth, aimed right onto Takashi's alarmed face. Do it now, Naruto. You really don't want to be at the other end of that thing. Takashi's warning had a high amount of urgency in it, and Naruto did not want to find out what that ball of chakra did. So he didn't hesitate to act. He directed his chakra into his legs and jumped high. With a grunt, he threw the kunai downwards, aiming it so it lodged right in front of an asleep Gaara. As expected, Gaara's sand came up to catch the kunai, but it was of no consequence. Naruto flashed right in front of Gaara, already in motion of an attack. He caught Gaara's jaw in an earth-shattering right hook, which had so much force behind it that it not only sent Gaara leaning towards his own right, but also knocked a tooth out of his mouth. Wake the fuck up! The punch sent waves of pain to Gaara's brain, forcing him to wake up. His eyes flew open in agony, just as Naruto sensed the big ball of chakra harmlessly dispelling behind him. Shikaku's yell soon followed, and oh, I just came out. Gaara was now wide awake, but Naruto gave him no chance to attack him with his sand. He used his left and to roughly grab Gaara by his throat, bringing his face level to his. His fingertips of the right hand lit up in the Gojyo Fuin, 5-element seal, for the third time in the day. He slapped them right onto Gaara's exposed stomach, the usage of chakra making his seal visible. Gaara gasped as all the breath left him, and he momentarily became unconscious. Naruto had successfully managed to cut Shikaku off from Gaara's conscious. The sand form beneath them began to crumble, and just in seconds, the entire body of sand collapsed, making them plummet to earth. Naruto and Gaara would have hit the ground with bone-breaking force, if Naruto hadn't managed to grab Gaara midair and flash to a kunai on the ground. He carefully set Gaara against a tree, and was slightly taken aback when Gaara started to stir. He himself had needed a day to wake up when Orochimaru had slapped him with the same seal. Perhaps it was that due to Gaara's stronger connection to Shikaku, he already had large amounts of Bijou chakra in his system which helped him wake. Naruto stood over Gaara as the redhead fully opened his eyes. Looking disoriented for a second, his eyes widened as he saw Naruto standing over him with an expressionless look on his face. He tried to shift further into the tree. "No, stay away from me!" he cried weakly, far too weak to try and move his body. He watched with pure fear as Naruto knelt down. Naruto softened the look on his face. That pain of being alone, of your life not meaning anything to anyone. I know that pain all too well, Gaara. Gaara whispered in confusion. How? Naruto's lips twisted into a sad smile. Because we are alike. I also house a beast like yours. Gaara's confused expression twisted into one of shock. Then, for all those people, why? Naruto put a hand on Gaara's tuft of hair. Because I found people to care for, to protect, who loved me and acknowledged my existence. Those people told me as many times I needed to hear that they loved me. They told me that my purpose in this world was to protect. True power doesn't come from fighting for yourself. It comes when you have someone of your own to protect. Gaara, he ruffled the red hair. You have people like that too. If you just give them a chance, they would accept you. If you want, I'll be your first friend. Gaara was unable to answer, just staring at Naruto with wide eyes. Naruto chuckled and removed his hand. Standing up. They were here anyways. Temari and Kankuro appeared just beside Gaara. The difference was that Kankuro was injured, and still on guard when standing in front of Naruto. He looked at Naruto with a wary expression, knowing that he stood no chance against a guy who still didn't look that exhausted after outright crushing Gaara. Temari, on the other hand, just stared at Naruto with wide eyes. He had delivered on his promise. He had stopped Gaara without killing him, and she was grateful to him for that. Naruto looked at her and winked. I promised you, didn't I? Temari smiled softly and nodded. She was grateful that Gaara hadn't been killed, along with the fact that Gaara hadn't managed to kill Naruto. She didn't know if she could ever repay Naruto for what he had done for her. A hand brushed against her leg, causing her to look down. "Temari, Kankuro, that's enough. Let's go home," Gaara ordered weakly. Kankuro gave a confused look to Temari, who just nodded to comply with the request. He picked Gaara up, supporting him with one hand around his waist and the other holding Gaara's over his shoulder. "Kankuro," Temari said, causing the puppeteer to look at her. "Take Gaara and move. I'll catch up." She did not once break eye contact with Naruto. Kankuro gave her a confused look. "But Temari go, I said." Kankuro looked reluctant to leave her behind, but obeyed her nonetheless. He took to the trees, and in a few moments, they were just a dot in the distance. No doubt, Kankuro would wait ahead for her to catch up, but he knew when Temari wanted him to be out of sight, and he wasn't stupid enough to disobey her. Naruto just kept his hands in his pockets as Temari stepped closer. Somehow, he wasn't surprised at all when Temari suddenly grabbed him in a tight hug, her hands going around his waist and her head buried in his chest. Thank you," she was sobbing in his chest. Naruto slowly wrapped his own arms around her shoulders. He kissed her head softly, stroking her hair. "It's okay," he whispered. He really didn't know what else he could do. Temari tightened her hold on him. "Why would you go so far for him?" Naruto breathed deeply, trying to decide what to say. "He and I, we're not much different. We both share a burden, and we both have been alone in our lives. Me not as much as him. I just couldn't bear to look at him like he was. He is what I would have been if I had no people of my own. He has people of his own. He has me and Kankuro." Naruto nodded sadly. "But he chose to push you away, while I accepted the few people I had in my life. It's still not too late, Temari. Just keep showing him what love truly means, and he will come to you. Give him another chance to accept." Temari slowly looked up to him with tears glistening in her eyes. Naruto slowly removed his arms from her, stepping back. "You should go now. Konoha Shinobi might be here any moment." Temari pursed her lips, but nodded. She turned away, about to jump to the trees, but she hesitated. Naruto waited for Temari to jump away, but she looked hesitating. "Temari He never finished his sentence, for a pair of lips came to softly rest on his own. Naruto looked shocked only for a moment, but before he could wrap his arms around her, Temari separated and turned away, taking to the trees. Naruto's hand came to rub on his lips, feeling the taste of her own. He smiled. There was something else in that kiss, something that promised a better future. Still smiling, he turned around, only to freeze on spotting Sasuke, who was carrying Sakura in a piggyback. Sasuke was looking extremely shocked and confused. He did not know what or how to make sense out of this. "What the hell was that?" Naruto panicked for a second, but then got a grip and replied, "A kiss? What else could it be?" He turned around to go and gather his kunai, but Sasuke stopped him again. "No, I mean, why did she kiss you?" Naruto turned around with a frown. "I don't know what goes on in her head, but what the hell are you doing here? Weren't you supposed to take Sakura and head back to safety?" This time, Sasuke surprised Naruto by looking abashed of all things. He muttered something unintelligible, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. "Sorry, couldn't hear you. Come again." "I said I couldn't leave you behind. Okay?" Sasuke snapped, a hint of red on his cheeks. Naruto snorted and walked past the boy. "It's rare to see you worry about someone else, but don't worry about me. As long as you have that kunai with you, I can flash to you anytime." Naruto suspected Sasuke had taken the kunai not so Naruto could flash to him, but to decipher the secret behind it. Sasuke wasn't an idiot. He obviously had noticed it in his fight with Gaara what he used the kunai for, and he wanted the jutsu for himself. Too bad for him. In his notes, Minato had written down that he had taken the jutsu to levels that were seemingly impossible. He had developed it so far that, in fact, it almost became a sort of an artificial bloodline. A jutsu that could only be used by someone of his blood, that two counting in all the fuinjutsu processes that involved locking your chakra at each step. Sasuke mentally flinched at that. He forgot to take into account that Naruto could sense all of his kunai. He had to divert the topic fast before Naruto asks him to give it back. Why did you let them go? That question caught Naruto's attention as he picked the last of the Hiraishin kunai scattered on the ground. He slowly turned to face Sasuke. He opened his mouth to explain why, but stopped at the sudden rush of chakra in his system, as well as memories. What the hell? Sasuke watched curiously as Naruto's head snapped towards the direction of the stadium, a classic expression of "what the fuck" on his face. What is it? Naruto turned to face Sasuke, a sense of urgency on his face that wasn't there before. You need to get back to Kakashi right now. He stepped forward, a hand outstretched, probably to send him to Kakashi. Sasuke stepped back. Whoa, you are not sending me back like that. Not until you tell me why. Naruto grit his teeth as more memories flowed into his mind. He did not have time for this. I can't tell you right now because someone close to me is in danger. How about this? I'll tell you once the invasion is over and you promise me right now that you won't tell a soul about this until I tell you so. Deal? Sasuke thought over it a bit and said, all right, but you better tell Dash. He wasn't allowed to finish as Naruto put a hand on his forehead and forcefully sent him back to where Kakashi was. He might have finished the enemies in the stadium by now. He flashed, and within 10 seconds, he had gathered every kunai that had been scattered in the area. After inspecting the clearing for one last time, he flashed again. Hold on, Gigi. I'm coming. Temari and Kankuro were supporting Gaara on each of his sides as they made their way back to Suna. With Gaara's defeat, the invasion was moot. Naruto made a good point about Gaara, she thought. They allowed Gaara to push them away, and her efforts had been clearly not enough to make him come back to her. Gaara had pushed them away as well. Their father, in hopes of strengthening Gaara as fast as he could, sent assassins to kill him. While none could get past his sand, Gaara still wanted to be close to them. However, something happened and suddenly Gaara became the cold person he was. He cared only about himself. She figured that the amount of killing attempts finally broke him, convincing that no one would care for him or acknowledge his existence. Then Naruto came along and, unlike anyone they had ever met, proceeded to beat Gaara into the ground until he was willing to hear what Naruto had to say. Temari knew that Naruto had changed Gaara's outlook on life permanently. She had witnessed hope in Gaara's life for the first time in years. Hope that he could make a life for himself like Naruto had did. Temari, Kankuro? A voice snapped her out of her thoughts. She turned her head to face Gaara, who was still not meeting her eyes. Kankuro shot a questioning look at his sister, but his confusion turned to shock when Gaara uttered a single word. Sorry. Both the older siblings were shocked that Gaara apologized to them. For years, Gaara viewed everyone as beneath him. For him to apologize, it meant Naruto's words had had a deep effect on him. Temari smiled. They were in Naruto's debt for this. It's okay, little brother. Kakashi looked tiredly around the stadium. A large number of bodies were littered around almost in every part of the arena, either covered in blood or outright crushed. He blamed Guy for all of this. That man seemed to make everything a competition between them, and for some reason that even he doesn't know, Kakashi always indulged in those things. Guy had made a bet that he could kill more enemies than Kakashi. Kakashi, being the dutiful eternal that he was, agreed to the bet. After almost an hour of continuous fighting, the enemy had finally stopped coming into the stadium. Guy was standing on the other side of the arena. He waved energetically at Kakashi. Yo, Kakashi, how much is your count? Is there an end to his youth? Kakashi tiredly thought, but answered anyway. 57, he answered in a bored tone. Just as he predicted, Guy shifted to a completely different personality. Oh, Kakashi, it seems you have won again. My eternal rival. It was no secret in Konoha that he and Guy were eternal rivals. Kakashi was thankful for his face mask every time Guy chose to announce their rivalry publicly. That man had no sense of stealth whatsoever. People already questioned if he was mentally fit to be a ninja. It won't do for them to start questioning him as well. Kakashi mentally sighed. His best friend was a pain in the ass. Just as he was about to approach Guy, Sasuke suddenly appeared beside him, with Sakura unconscious on his back. Kakashi already had a kunai out ready, but lowered it once he saw who it was. He watched, amused, as Sasuke blinked, no doubt disoriented from the sudden travel, and proceeded to curse in a way that Kakashi almost blushed, though he couldn't hold back the perverted giggle upon seeing his student's position. "That asshole! I told him not to do that," Sasuke shouted before spotting Kakashi. He raised an eyebrow in deadpan upon hearing the perverted giggle. "What is it?" Kakashi was more than happy to point it out. "I wonder what you plan on doing with her, Sasuke. Especially you are carrying her when she's unconscious." Sasuke blinked, not understanding the reference at first. Then he remembered that his sensei was a pervert, and then his face suddenly turned red. "Don't make such useless assumptions. You perverted jerk." Kakashi refrained from commenting that this might be proof of a claim Naruto had made some time ago. He might be gay after all. He then turned to face the purple barrier in which his leader was trapped. He could only hope that Sandaime would manage to survive against his former student. Things were not going well for Hiruzen. Orochimaru had been right. He was not as strong as he was 10 years ago, let alone his prime. And it showed. His movements were slow, his chakra capacity, even though it hadn't deteriorated with age, he had a limit to what he could exert now. If he exerted more, his chakra coils were in danger of permanent damage. And don't even get him started on his old joints. He and Orochimaru engaged first in taijutsu, which rapidly progressed into ninjutsu. At one point, Hiruzen had even managed to corner his student again. With a smirk he had thought, "Looks like I still got it, his ass." Orochimaru had blocked his attacks by pulling up coffins of all things. From then on, it was no longer funny. In fact, Hiruzen was outraged that Orochimaru had the nerve and spine to do such a vile thing. Orochimaru had defiled the graves of both of his senseis. Hiruzen had watched with horror-filled eyes as Orochimaru opened the graves to allow the now resurrected Shodai and Naidame Hokage to walk out. And they looked terrible. Both of their skin was deathly pale, as it was rightly so. Orochimaru had forcefully called the dead into the land of the living. Hiruzen had to stop himself from facepalming when the former Hokages finally opened their mouths to speak. Even though Hiruzen knew that Hashirama-sensei was a peculiar man, with his unusually boisterous and seemingly idiotic nature, it was Tobirama-sensei who knew Hiruzen the best. It was scary how easily he could read his student. Hiruzen even suspected that Tobirama knew that he was a closet pervert, but he didn't really know, for the man never called him out on it. Only Hashirama knew of that fact, and even he had found out by accident. But enough of that. The first words that Hashirama-sensei had spoken were, "Is that you, Sarutobi? It has been a long time." Hiruzen had cringed how much dead he had sounded. But somehow, that same tone from Tobirama didn't surprise him at all. In fact, it was all he could do from facepalming. "You have gotten old, Saru." That man was always blunt like that. Turns out, it was an extremely vile jutsu that had been created by Tobirama. Edo Tensei was a jutsu that binds the soul of a deceased person to a living vessel, restoring the deceased as they were when they were alive in order to do their summoner's bidding. It was the ultimate insult one can give to the dead. Why Tobirama-sensei created this, he would never know. And how Orochimaru got a hold of this, that also he would never know. Ultimately, Hiruzen had no choice but to fight his former senseis. As the fight between them progressed, Hiruzen noted that while his opponents were certainly strong, they were nowhere near the level they were when they were alive. They were merely puppets that Orochimaru was controlling. Hiruzen would know. He was their prized student, after all. But even then, Hiruzen slowly found himself on the losing side of the battle as his age and lack of training in a long time slowly took a toll on him. Even after summoning Enma, who became an indestructible adamantine staff, he was put on the ropes by the Shodai's mastery of Mokuton and Naidame's mastery of Suetun. Even if they were puppets, their teamwork was strong enough that Hiruzen was hard-pressed to just dodge those attacks. And if things weren't bad enough already, both the bodies of the former Hokages were seemingly indestructible. Any damage dealt to them was recovered from within seconds. This is bad. At this rate, I really would be killed. I cannot afford to let them escape this barrier. Konoha would never recover from being destroyed by its own creators. Hiruzen thought as he dodged Tobirama's attacks and used his staff to strike Hashirama in the face. He put some distance between him and both the Hokages with a large-scale Keton Jutsu. He then suddenly remembered what happened before they started fighting. Of course, How could I have forgotten that? Naruto gave me a scroll, saying that it had some reinforcements. I really could use a soldier pill right now. He set Enma loose on the Hokages, while he untied the scroll. As soon as he saw the slightly changed, but still recognizable prisoner containment seal, he was confused. Why would Naruto want to give him such a scroll right now? But he had not time to think over it as Enma came skidding back on his feet. Whatever you are doing, hurry up, Sarutobi, Enma shouted in his gruff voice. Hiruzen wasted no more time and spread the scroll on the ground, pushing chakra into it, choosing to trust Naruto. And boy, Naruto knew exactly well what reinforcements are. Hiruzen stared dumbfounded at the army of blondes, no doubt shadow clones that Naruto created. He knew Naruto had a ridiculous amount of chakra, but this was a whole new level of absurd. He would have to reevaluate the blonde if he survived. Orochimaru was flabbergasted as to how did the old fool manage to pull this in the middle of the battle. Then he noticed the scroll in his hand, a prisoner containment scroll modified to seal shadow clones. And the look on his face means someone gave it to him. I don't need to be a genius to figure out who. But no matter. 100 shadow clones against 2 Hokages are nothing. They will only buy the old fool some time. Sadly, Orochimaru was only partially correct. The entire roof became a field for chaos within seconds. The changes that the first Hokage had made to the roof with his entire Mokutan only added to the clones' advantage as they took extreme pleasure in causing as much chaos as possible, with Flash Step and Hiration. Hiruzen grabbed this opportunity to rest and chuckled. This certainly was useful, but he could see that having shadow clones as back had its downfalls as well. The Hokages proved how formidable they were, for the clones started dispelling only 2 minutes after they were summoned. Hiruzen knew that this was bad, and there was no way he would be escaping today with his life. He sighed sadly as he thought about his life until today. He had made countless decisions and just as many mistakes. He regretted what he was about to do, but there was no other option, and he was in no way calling Naruto to fight with him. Just as he was about to initiate the sequence for the jutsu that would seal the dead away, a clone flashed beside him. With so many flashes going around, Hiruzen wasn't even surprised. This backup is going to get destroyed in just 10 seconds, he said testily, watching with growing nervousness as only 20 of them remained now. Hiruzen nodded gravely. When you dispel, pass on my thanks to Naruto. I regret that I won't be escaping alive today. The clone looked at him with a surprised face. Another peculiar thing that Hiruzen had discovered was that each of Naruto's clones had a different personality. One was happy to the point of being goofy, one was lazy, one was an angry one, and there was one that was exactly like Naruto, which was the one thing that he found weird. Considering shadow clones are meant to be the user's exact copies, finding an exact copy among Naruto's different ones was certainly a new experience. This one seemed prone to be surprised every now and then. He wanted to say something, but words seemed to fail him as he could only close and open his mouth repeatedly. He then sighed, and Hiruzen found his worry growing as a determined look came onto his face. If you say that you have no choice, then I'm afraid I have no choice as well. The last clone besides the one was dispelled, and Hiruzen dropped into a stance again, holding Enma. This was his final stand, and he would be damned if he let Orochimaru win. Just as he was about to commence his attack, he saw the last clone beside him making a half-ram seal, dispelling a second later. What was he up to? He suddenly got a very bad feeling in his stomach. Surely he was not going to. His worst fears were confirmed when in a flash of blue, the Prime himself arrived, with a cocky smirk on his face, no less. Am I late or what?
Hey, after you leave the video, don't forget to give your comment asking for the next season if you want it, and give your like and subscribe for more. So, bye bye in the next one.